Do you believe in accountable love?
Welcome to Accountable Love, home of the LoveSnobs, where love is a group journey. My name is Jerri.
My name's Aziz.
And today we're going to talk about the birth of accountable love.
We are all searching for stability. We are all looking for absolutes in humanity, but there are no absolutes. There's only accountable love, a love that says when you pick a partner and friend, they will show up with their daily best and you will give them your all as well. We all deserve love at its highest form, so the LoveSnobs are here to tell you, you deserve everything. You deserve a high clap. LoveSnobs, LoveSnobs, LoveSnobs.
So we decided to talk about the birth of accountable love because we wanted to share with our viewers how we got to this place of living accountably and how it transfers over to our everyday lives.
Definitely. We already talked about on our first season why accountable love, because, you know, we wanted to show why was we trying to teach accountable love, but now why was it born in us, or how was it born in us, or how was accountable love born is two different things.
But just like how, for you, like, I guess it was something that was born in you.
Definitely.
And in my case, it was something that I was taught because I had a different idea of what love was. So I had to kind of relearn better habits, and I had to relearn good habits, and I had to identify exactly what I wanted and actually build a principle around it. And I think that that's one of the things that helped me get to this place, right?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I mean, it was taught, but I think it was born in you because, you know, a lot of people are taught different things, but they only are attracted to the things that I think are actually who they are. You know what I mean?
Well,
like it has you are a person big on principles. You've always been. You know what I mean? You've always been big on principles from since I've known you, and when we actually used to talk about your childhood and your upbringing. You always was the one that you will always, you know, keep everybody accountable in your house. So nobody can do something outside of what was agreed upon without you saying something.
Yes, but I also think that it didn't always transfer over. So I think that, you know, you see something, you say something, you address it and you move on, right?
Definitely.
And I used to have the tendency of addressing things that would affect me personally. And then that would be where the stance would start.
Definitely.
And as I matured, I realized that if I'm not going to speak to one person, but I'm speaking to the 5 other people that act just like that one person, but they're not necessarily acting that way toward me, that's an issue. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I think that as I got older, I began to realize that if I'm going to take a stance in this way, then it should bleed through. It shouldn't just be situational. It should be a principle that I should hold everyone to the same standard, even if they're not treating me a certain way.
But did you notice it? Because people go through life not even noticing it. So whether
I didn't always
you wasn't
notice,
taught,
no.
you wasn't like what we're gonna address. Obviously, what we talked about when we were having this discussion off camera. What we talked about is how your upbringing didn't really teach you how to be accountable in love.
It didn't.
But somehow you were principle driven by nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It just never wasn't nurtured in you.
Mm-hmm.
But you was principle driven by nature. So what I'm saying is it was something that was definitely born in you. It just had to be refined as over the years, wouldn't you say? Because that's what I'm saying. Like, I just came to the understanding maybe a lot earlier than you, but I've always been the one that was very principle driven when it came to my family, when it came to my friends. I was the one that, quote unquote, was the stickler for rules or whatever. But it was more, if you agreed to something, we all should stick to it because we all agreed to it. So I was one of the people that would basically hold everybody accountable. And I don't know if they looked at me as the leader in that sense. But the point is, I always had it in me. And I think it was the same with you. Whether we listened to it every time or not. I mean, obviously through the course of life, like I would say I committed crimes. I did stupid things when I was young. You get what I'm saying? So obviously I didn't follow every last bit of it, but it was ingrained in me. It was something that kept me like once somebody gave me a different direction, or once somebody gave me an understanding of how I'm acting outside of love, I think that helped me kind of refine what was going on within me, and then now focus on being accountable in love.
Well, I think my first major experience too was with family,
Definitely.
and a lot of us are taught that family is everything, and, people make mistakes and accept people for who they are and where they're at. And, you're taught that to accept a lot of things when it comes to family. But my first encounter with accountable love was with a family member, and me setting the boundary and deciding what I was going to deal with and what I wasn't going to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I would say that, my parents thought that I was just wrong for it, and they didn't quite understand it. But I realized that I knew from a younger age, because it happened younger, that if I was going to allow a family member to treat me a certain way, but I wasn't going to allow a family member to treat me a way that I wouldn't allow a stranger.
Definitely. And
if you can't, and if he couldn't respect me, or even say, hey, I don't like you and I'm not really feeling you, but I'm not going to disrespect you, and kind of like we could have that conversation, but have an understanding, then I wasn't going to deal. And that was my first shot at it. And then as I got older, as I began to refine my behavior, I realized that there's other people that I needed to go to. And not because I was cleaning shop, but you
I think it's because
relationships
actually
with
you are accepting them. Like, I think when we actually come and we decide to merge, we're not just accepting our shortcomings when we decide to merge. So like when two people decide to build a relationship, they are refining themselves within that relationship, and they're defining themselves in that relationship. So there's certain things, certain habits they might have had in a singular nature that they don't have as a plural nature. You get what I'm saying? So you are agreeing to now sign up for these rules or sign up for this commitment that now is absent of some of the things that made you who you were as a singular person. But when you're not accepting who I am, then I think that now when you're now, okay, I accept you, but I really don't want to be around you. I don't want to deal with you. You're accepting them. You're just moving on because you're not going to try to adjust them. You're not going to try to change it. And they're not even your cup of tea. Personally. So that's also acceptance. People use it out of context, but acceptance just means I'm not going to try to change who you are, but doesn't mean that I have to hang around you.
And
based on who you are.
And thank you for clearing that up. But agreed. So when we're put in situations, not put in situations, we grow up with our family members. We think that we're supposed to have these relationships, and we hold on to the memories and the things that we did. Well, that is a memory, right? We hold on to the memories and hope that we can have a relationship.
Definitely.
Not realizing that when you become an adult, you kind of have to reestablish those relationships, because the relationships that you had with a family member was something that was put, you weren't forced, but that's all you knew. So,
to some degree, I wouldn't say forced, but it was who all you knew.
Was siblings, let's say all we knew was siblings. Definitely. So we were taught that siblings they're your first playmates, and
they are. That's not just taught.
Well, they're your first playmates, and you're growing up with them, so you see each other through all types of stuff. And you think that things are supposed to transfer over, magically, this relationship is supposed to transfer over, and it doesn't always. It takes work. It takes a conversation, because a lot of times you realize that you get to a certain age and you and your sibling don't have anything in common.
Definitely.
So what's the glue? What's the thing that's holding you guys together besides the fact that you guys are related?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think that taking the time and kind of reestablishing relationships with people that you've known half your life, and really saying, yeah, you're my family member, but are you my friend?
Definitely. I think in our culture, it's natural for our parents to understand that maybe you're probably if you're older than your siblings, you're probably their protector, but it's not necessarily you're their friend. I think they understand that. I think it's when it's cousins. Like, they usually say your cousins is your first friends, because when they're all around the same age, then you kind of put them in that same bracket, because y'all obviously grew up together. Y'all was born around the same time. So those were your first playmates when it truly mattered. Your brothers or sisters, if they're younger than you or they're older than you, they either push you to the side or they followed you around. You know what I mean? So it was known that they probably weren't the people that you necessarily hang around. You know what I mean? But I think my first encounter with understanding, well, I know my first encounter with understanding of accountable love and how much love is different than just being family. And I think it, like in your case, I noticed it first with family because, they used to always say I love you with people I never even, like, I don't even know. Like, you're my aunt, but I don't know you. You're my cousin, but I don't know you. But you're forced to say I love you, or they encourage you to say I love you, or they say I love you to you. And I didn't have though, and it wasn't even a feeling because you have that, you feel like there's a bond because you was taught with cousin meaning and family meaning. So you feel that there's a natural bond, but I didn't have the, you're dedicated to me. I didn't feel like there was an attachment on that level. So to say I love you, I always felt weird saying I love you to people that I wasn't really connected to in that way. I was bonded to them, or I was connected to them based on the family understanding and what I was taught in the education portion of it. But it had nothing to do with the actual spirituality of it.
No,
and love, and love, and we accountable love, we see it as a faith.
Yeah.
So I knew then, and I always just kind of held on to that what came to mind, what's in my heart, and I held on to it, and I kept on just like refining as I got older because I'm like thinking, okay, now we're in school and there's classmates. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like hold this person's hand and play with him, and I'm like, I'm not playing with him because I don't like him. You know what I mean? So like you're forced to play with this person, you're forced to, or they're your neighbor. And then you're forced to, like it does feel like you're being forced because you understand that you don't really want to be around this person. But at the same time, your parents or whoever's around is telling you that you have to forge these relationships. And I'm not talking about being nasty to a classmate. I get that. I'm not talking about being cordial with your fellow classmates. I get that. But when it's like a friendship, like he's going to be your friend. This is your friend for the day. This is your, there was a lot of things that were taught. And I'm like, this is not what I believe. It's beyond a feeling. It's what I don't even believe it. So that's when it was more refined, where I was like, nah, I want to be around people who actually I can build something with. You know what I'm saying? I actually can build an attachment to. I actually can forge a relationship with. And then I noticed that relationships was more important when it comes to love. Relationships are more important when it's when it's something that you're passionate about, when it's something that you really want to do. Is people of character. Because I think I've had friends where I felt a little shaky with, you know what I mean? But they had certain attributes, but they didn't really have strong character. And you can feel the tension, or you can feel the disconnect every time you're around them, but you're still calling them friends because it's based on demographics, or they're friends with your friends. You know what I mean? So it's all about a lot of things, a lot of factors we factor in before we factor in character. And accountable love is based on marrying a character, like being connected to a character. So, and you're looking at a set of attributes, and you're like, these are people that I'm willing to die for. These are people that I'm willing to invest in. These are people that I believe in. Then you know that you're working towards a love. That's what love is. You're working towards accountable. These people will look out for me. They won't do negative things because they got me in mind. You know what I mean? Like there were certain friends that didn't care. They'll do it and put us all at risk. And there were certain friends like, I wanted to do this, but I wouldn't do this based on the fact that it would harm all of us, or would harm you, or, then you knew that this person was a person of character. That bond got stronger when you had that understanding that a person would put you in a bad position. And that's what allowed me to see that when I get a girlfriend, or when I get, when I have other friends, or when I raise a family, this is something I want to raise it with.
Well, it's funny. Like, yeah, you're right. Like you go through different stages where you start applying. And I was late in that game because although I knew certain things, I didn't always apply it because let's be honest, everyone keeps people around because they're benefiting from that relationship some way, somehow, right? Definitely. So, I forged relationships with people, and, we got along, and I felt like I liked them, or I felt like I loved them, but there was nothing solid to kind of help us. There was nothing that was going to keep us together. Like, there was nothing that was going to bring us back to the drawing board. Like, Definitely. We both agreed, like, you agreed this, I agreed this, we both agreed this, why are we here? You know what I mean? Like, it was never that situation.
I mean, y'all stayed away from the hard topics.
Well, we stayed away from the hot topics, but there was like the things that you, like, you don't cheat and you don't lie, but there's like, there's so many other things. There's so many layers to it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I just think that
but
there's
it's
a
like
lot
you don't
of,
cheat, but do you believe in cheating? You know what I mean? Like, do you believe in lying? Do you believe in honesty? There's two different things. Like, you get caught up in the hype of like everyone doesn't want to be cheated on. So of course they're saying I don't like cheating because I don't want it done to me, right? But do you not believe in cheating? You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because that changes everything. Do you not believe in lying? Like if you believe in telling the truth and being honest, then that bleeds over. So it would never be, we couldn't have something to hold each other to if we ever get to that place. Mm-hmm. And I think that we agreed that there's certain things that we didn't like, but were we living it? Did we truly believe it? Were we making sure that we both understood that we both believed it so that we could make sure that if things kind of went left, we could kind of redirect ourselves and say,
Definitely.
You know what, these 5 things we said that we were always going to
It was your core values. It was your foundation.
Yeah.
And every relationship needs one.
Yes.
To actually experience love.
Yeah.
Like you need core values. You need a foundation. Because once somebody breaks that foundation, just like we have a foundation, trust is very important. Mm-hmm. Once that's broken, doesn't mean you can't get it back, but it means that you got to work to get it back. So love wouldn't be your title anymore. Mm-hmm. Once somebody broke that bond, you care about the person and you're trying to work back to love. Or once you broke honesty, once you decided to bite your tongue and really wasn't honest, which actually loses the trust. So then now what happens? It trickles down. So now you're in these toxic relationships where you don't trust the person and now you keeping them around because you care about them, but you believe you love them. But somebody that loves you is reciprocal. So somebody that loves you wouldn't put you at risk. They wouldn't put you, like, they'll be honest with you. Like, people think that sparing somebody's feelings is love. Because I always hear, why would you say that? Like, why would you say this to this person if you truly care about them? Why would I hold back if I truly care about them? There's a bigger question. Why would I not tell them? Why would I feel like I can't talk to this person if I truly love them? Why am I the person designated to spare this person's feelings? Isn't that more egotistical? That I have that much power to destroy a person's self-esteem?
Yeah.
Like, you have to really think about what we're saying half the time. And we do play the card. And I think a lot of people look at love as guilt. And they believe guilt is a part of love.
Well, I mean,
so when you can guilt people in the stand, when you can guilt people into how to speak to you, when you can guilt people, all that stuff you have to earn. It's respect. So if somebody speaks to you and you feel like they're not speaking to you in a proper manner, you obviously, love is saying, listen, you're not speaking to me in a proper manner. So you talk to them, you have dialogue, you go back and forth, and then you find common ground. How are we going to speak? The person may say, this is my tone, this is how I get down, this is who I am. There's no disrespect, but this is who I am, and this is who I'm
But it boils down to intent.
Definitely. I mean, but that you have to have the dialogue because it still made a person feel a certain way.
Agreed,
so that's why you have the discussion.
What I say is also intent is what I think your intentions are.
Definitely.
Because it starts with me, how I view you and what I believe you, how you view me. So if I think that you're taking advantage of me all the time, then when you say something or like when you're trying to get me to, when you're asking me to do something, in the back of my head, I'm going to be like, why? What are you getting out the deal? You know what I mean? So I think
everything's based on belief. Everything's based on what you believe about a person. Everything's based on what you believe somebody, like, human beings are capable of. All of it is based on your belief system. So if you have, let's say we have accountable love. So we have accountable love to actually show us what love truly is, right? So we looked at accountability and we're like, yo, that's a big thing. Because we hear people apologizing all the time and then doing it again and apologizing all the time and doing it again and apologizing all the time and doing it again. And then we're now guilted into like, yo, you have to forgive them. Yeah, we forgive them. We're just not going to reconcile. We're not going to have a relationship with them. So understand, just because we don't speak to the person or we opt not to deal with the person doesn't mean we didn't forgive them, because we're not walking around like, next time I see a person that's just like this person and you're angry and upset and carrying and harboring those emotions. No, it's just like you forgave them. Like, okay, I understand this is who you are. This is who you're going to be. And even if you do change or you make those adjustments, the damage may be done. So we may have to cross that bridge if you do change and maybe the door is cracked and we can forge a relationship, or I'm not going to never trust you again. So at the end of the day, because I don't never trust you, that has nothing to do with forgiveness. Forgiveness is something within yourself. You get what I'm saying? So accountability is big. It shows character. It shows the best character. Because if you're able to not just apologize but rectify what you did wrong, that's the biggest thing. It's not about not making mistakes. It's about rectifying the mistakes you make. So it's having the, like when your teacher, when you see that one student that gets something wrong and actually goes back on their own and wants to correct it and get it right and learn it, it shows that this person is a better student than the other students, right? It automatically reflects character. So what I'm saying is that's accountable, and then love is one of the most cherished. It's the most cherished things, right? So you put them two together. How could you have one without the other? You see what I'm saying? So that's how all those things merge. That's how accountable love. I mean, those two things merge. Those two faiths merge, because accountable love is all about stepping up, prioritizing, making sure that the people you say I love you to, they're a high priority, and you put your life into making sure that they have a better life, and you trust that they're putting you ahead of a whole bunch of other people, and they're making you a priority, and they're making sure you have the best life possible too.
Yeah, and also connecting with people that share the same beliefs. It makes the relationship a lot easier. It's not to say that we don't. It's stronger. Yeah,
Let's
so
say
I want
it
to
makes
say
it a
easier.
lot stronger, because we go back and forth.
Well, yeah, so I would say stronger.
Nobody would say our relationship's just easy.
No, okay,
But,
yeah, you're right.
I mean, we do have the core value, so we always can actually
We
recover.
have something to come back. The recovery is easy.
Definitely.
So it's not, it makes the relationship stronger, and it allows, and although we may disagree, and it just takes, us, I mean, we can argue, sometimes we argue all night, but we also, the recovery is a lot quicker because we have the same beliefs and we have the same end goal and we want to be there. So behaviors may need to be refined. A conversation definitely has to be,
I think that's where
an apology
comes
sometimes has to be applied, and then we're able to move on from there.
Definitely, we go through our little selfish stages. We want what we want when we want it, and sometimes we disregard the belief system and focus on the desire. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point. Is like, you can have things you desire, but does it destroy your belief system? Is it worth destroying your integrity? Is it worth destroying your household? You know what I mean? So like, I think that would be another reason why I thought accountable love, because I watched so many people, and even in my household, my parent go through pain because people disregarded their belief system. They cheated on them. You know what I mean? Sometimes it was domestic violence, things of that nature. And then, you hearing them like, I love you. And it always resonated like, how could you love somebody and then hurt them in that way, in that fashion, ever? You know what I mean? There's certain things you don't ever have to do. Like, you don't never have to cheat, because you see somebody you interested in, you know what I mean? Then you can have a discussion with your partner and then become single. Like, there's certain things you have a bad temper, you take a walk. You know what I mean? You get yourself out of the situation. You know what I mean? We're not talking about self-defense. We're talking about literally like lashing out, hitting somebody for control reasons, to control the person to do what you want them to do, or because you're upset. It's not good enough. So I don't know if they transfer, like and people tend to say they love the person, and you get to see all of these people like in our parents' age group. A lot of them went through trials and tribulations. You're just like, there's no way in hell I'm going through that. Yeah. But they feel like they're stronger because of it. Excuse me. And I'm like, that always amazed me. Like, how are you a stronger couple because of it? Are you the role model for your kids? You want your kids to go through all of that to prove what love is? Or are y'all just comfortable?
Well, yeah. I mean, also too, like, my parents got married young. They were in their early 20s. So I think that and my parents are still married, and, I remember being a kid thinking like they would be better separate.
Definitely.
And I, watched them together and thinking like, yes, it was nice to have both parents at home, the benefits of that, but I just thought personally that they would be better separate. And, and that was, no one had that conversation with me, but just watching it. It was in and you. Just thinking that, when I grow up, when I get married, that's not the type of relationship I wanted. So I think that, our parents did things for for many reasons, I'm sure. And like now, you know, they're old, they're growing old together. They're both retired and they're enjoying each other's life, I guess. I don't want to wait till I'm 70 to enjoy my partner's life.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to have.
I mean, plus they had a young marriage.
They had a young marriage.
They had
yes.
to learn how to be adults together.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets difficult, because even when
they have 4 by the time before they were 30, they had 4 kids. Like
definitely,
it was a lot.
even during our sessions, that's one of the things that we can come in, like we definitely have to look at, because when you have a young relationship, sometimes the love and what you was taught love was and going through the motions isn't present. But you could recover based on the fact that, and all this crazy stuff could happen in that little part of it, part of life, because, you know, you're young and then you're maturing into adulthood. But then there is an expectation once you mature into adulthood that the strikes, like the you know, the amount of times you can mess up is a little slimmer. You get what I'm saying? Like there's less of there's more of an expectation as you get older and you become an adult. And I always hear people say love shouldn't come with expectations, and I'm like,
but it should.
But who? I don't never understand that, how people can't see who's the type of people that don't want to deal with expectations. It's never the person who's willing to step up.
It's never the A student though.
It's never the person who's willing to step up. So I always tell people or my friends or whoever I'm speaking to, like if anybody says something about something as valuable as expectations, that's okay to have expectations. It's okay to want something or have something in your head. Now, at the same time, unrealistic expectations is different. But expectations is perfectly okay. So if you're saying somebody has unrealistic expectations and you can break that down, that's different. But now when we're talking about expectations, who doesn't want expectations? Who doesn't want to be judged? A person that's always is going to fall short.
Well, anyone who's doing good wants
that.
to be held accountable. And I
Definitely.
think and I think the people that kind of want to slip under the radar, they can care less. So I think that, if we promote more accountability, then it'll leave less room for those people who kind of want to slide under the radar, or they'll find each other.
Definitely.
And they could slide under the radar together.
Definitely.
And stay out the spaces of people that actually want to hold each other accountable and believe in accountability and believe that
and hold love as value.
Yeah, and I don't just want you to show up. I want you to tell me that you're showing up.
Definitely.
You know, like say actions speak louder than words, but action plus words, it's
greatness.
It's greatness. And you can actually hold them to just more than, oh, I didn't know you was coming, or oh, I thought you were coming, but you didn't show up. You know what I mean?
Definitely. It's horrible, but you know, I just think people need to start really paying attention to the signs when they meet people. Because it is important to hear what people have to say.
But I think it's
like I want this to just feel right. Like a relationship is gonna feel good, but it should feel good working at it. You know, you should feel good wanting to know somebody. You should feel good wanting to do things for somebody, but also wanting to be there for them. You know what I mean? Or wanting to, like, it should feel good coming home every day and not straying. It should feel good watching you build something special with your partner.
Yeah.
That should feel good. So like I understand where people say it should feel good, it shouldn't hurt, love shouldn't hurt. And I agree with that. Love shouldn't hurt, but it does sting at times. You know what I mean? So like you have to understand that the principle of honesty is a part of love. And with honesty, things will sting. But what will hurt a person is the fact that And I guess we're talking about stinging, it can possibly hurt. But then we're talking about cheating, which would be more than hurting. It'd be deep rooted. You know what I mean? We're talking about a sting versus a gunshot. You get what I'm saying? So like you have to look at those things, and if you recover from it, you're working towards love again. But don't now go get mad at your friend for saying, why did you go back? They have the right to question that.
But also, because
they're holding you accountable because they love you.
Yeah, but I also think that there's a level of self-awareness that goes into this too. Like you can't be with somebody who you believe you can hold them accountable, but you're not holding yourself accountable. You don't believe it either. Because there's benefits to being with the person that believes in accountability. So I think that, you know, you should go in knowing that that's your belief as well. And not asking for something that you're not willing to put out there, you don't believe in, or just going in with this one-sided idea of, oh, now, you know, I had like 50 bad relationships, so now let me meet the nice guy. You know
Definitely.
what I mean? Who comes home every day because that's what he believes in, and who believes in monogamy, and truly believes in monogamy because he doesn't cheat. And
don't get the safe man.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need the safe man. So you can still get the man you want. I think you can get all the attributes you want.
But I think it goes both ways. I think that you need to be honest with who you are and what you truly believe in.
Definitely.
And don't be a hypocrite and really go for what you believe in, because if you truly believe in accountability, then you would look for partners or friends that also believes in accountability, and then you can build on that. You could build a strong foundation.
Definitely. Like I just recently was explaining to somebody that how when we're young, we're looking at differences, we're looking at different things, we're really figuring things out, we're trying to find out who we are, there's a lot going on. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on till we mature into our adulthood, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're older, you're looking for people who you share things with and you have things in common, and you don't have time to really be searching through differences and all this. And, you hear this movement, like everybody, oh, well, people are different. Mm-hmm. And every time I hear somebody say, people are different, you already know they're not going to be accountable, because you already know that. So they're patronizing you, or it's passive aggressive for you think you know everything. But it's like, yeah, I have a right to choose. Mm-hmm. So I think a part of accountable love is saying to yourself, being so self-aware where you're like, it's okay for me to choose. Mm-hmm. I don't care how strong of a person I am. And if you're a leader, you can also choose. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So like, we can't keep on being guilted into having people around because it makes us less of a person not to. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think accountable love is also being mindful that when it comes to your personal relationships, you have the right to pick exactly who you want in your life. And whether it's 2 people, 7 people, you have the right to pick those people. And you should pick them people according to their character, because that's the most important thing. You can date somebody because they're good looking and that's it. But I don't know how long that will last. Yeah,
I mean, you get to a certain age and you start having kids, right?
Definitely.
And you realize that your friend circle kind of gets a little smaller because you kind of gravitate to people that either have kids, or that they believe that they know that you have a child, so it's more family time, right?
Definitely.
And so you pick relationships based on that. But I remember, one time we had a discussion in one of the groups on Facebook, and the question was, would you have your friends around your kids? And a good majority of the people on there said no. But they called them their friends, Definitely. Right? When you get to, I know I have a lot on my plate right now. So everyone that's around me, if they can't be around my kid, then when do I have time to hang out with you?
Definitely. When I was getting ready to say the same thing. When you're around your husband, they don't like your husband, you're around your kids, they can't be around your kids.
Yeah.
When do you get to hang out with them? And every time you get to hang out with them, is everything secretive.
Yeah.
It creates these boundaries that's,
well, you live in like separate lives, and it's like, and it doesn't really make sense, and it doesn't, not for the long term.
Definitely.
I guess it's all good for the short term, but your kids should witness you having healthy relationships outside of your husband, your significant other, your family, your other family members.
It should be your friends should be a part of your village.
Yeah.
Just like touching back to what you were saying, like when you have a kid and your friend doesn't have children, I think that child becomes their child. So if you gotta like gravitate to other parents or people that have kids, I think like that experience of you having a child and it didn't bring your friend closer. You gotta really question, was the friend ready for what life had to offer?
Yeah.
Or was gonna bring? Because we all know as we age, we're gonna now have kids. So like that's what you gotta start thinking of. People are gonna pass on. Our parents are gonna get older. Like you have to start thinking about all the things you're gonna have to deal with when you have a friendship. When you have a partnership. It's bigger than the emotional attachment. Am I willing to actually stick it out with this person through life's challenges? Mm-hmm. And we're not talking about, again, we always say this, not created challenges, but life's challenges, cancer, having children, having problems with money that's out of your control, not within your control. Mm-hmm. And things of that nature, where it's like, great friends and a great partner will be there, so it doesn't feel like you're ever alone, and it doesn't feel like you can't conquer any challenges that come on in life. You know what I'm saying? That you have to be aware of that, and you have to be ready for that. So I think that's a good that's a good point about like bringing up the children. I mean, you did say you start gravitating to.
I did.
To people with kids. I wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying, like, understand, I want to experience everything that my friends, because I believe in accountable love. So my friends have new children. I want to gravitate to their children. I want to get to know their children. I want to be a part of their children's life. I want to embrace everything that they have. If they have a new partner, I want to get to know that new partner. That new partner needs to become a part of our family. Like, that's how you build a village. That's how you build a strong circle, because you have accountable love. So everybody, like, should your friend be dating somebody that's not kind of like-minded with the group that they already built? Probably not. Should your husband start going outside of, or your wife start going outside of what y'all all built together? No, it causes friction within the friends. It causes friction within the household. So like, anybody that decides to just make, let's just make these independent decisions, I think they hurt the overall message. They hurt the overall faith of friendship and commitment in the village mentality. So when you look at accountable love, it's not all about like, you did this and you did that. It's just coming and having strong discussions, setting parameters, setting core values, having understanding that when it comes to who you surround yourself with, the core values are the important piece. You're going to have different preferences. You're going to want to do different things, but it shouldn't affect your core values. And that's what accountable love is all about. Yeah. It's all about building a group of people that have strong characters, and they have character traits, and they have those things in common, strong attributes. And that's the most important thing.
And that transfers over from friendships to, I mean, if a coworker happens to become a friend or family members, like, no one's exempt from this. You know what I mean? And I think that that's where things get a little blurry. That's where things get kind of gray for people, because they apply it in one area but won't apply it in another. But no one's exempt. Like, you start with your principles, and then you start to kind of figure out who are aligned regardless of where they came from.
Definitely. And, when we talk about personal relationships, we talking about not because you go and help a family member.
Yeah,
you're going to probably help a family member. You're probably going to help a stranger. It doesn't mean they're your friend. We're talking about personal relationships. So let's be clear here. There's a difference when it comes to helping other people versus building a friend circle and building relationships and prioritizing your relationships. And that's when we talk about accountable love, because just because you help somebody doesn't mean you love them. Just because you help somebody don't mean you're accountable in love. But when you start investing love and accountability in someone or people, you got to understand that comes with responsibility. And love should be a responsibility, because it's a faith. It's something you believe in. So I think it's very important to have this discussion about, accountable love, just to see where we're coming from and, how it was born.
Well, also, too, I think that people think that we're super militant if we don't, if we see things kind of, we see things black and white, what we do, but that, that things are so black and white that that we don't deal with gray at all, and that we should make provisions for certain people.
I think the thing is, we don't see things as just black and white, but we try to make everything black and white, because we have to make decisions.
We want them clear, and
we want clear lines. So if something looks a little blurry, we're going to sit down and try to figure it out and find common ground. Like, we're those people. We're going to try to figure it out, because we're born teachers. So when you want to teach something, you have to first understand it. And in understanding it, you have to really, really narrow it down to what it is, define it. And when you define it, then you can teach it. So therefore, we see the gray, but we're always trying to make it black and white, so it's something that's teachable.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that's the important thing, and that's how you raise your kids. It's how, like, you have to define things. If you don't define things, then
it's like taking the same route to school, right?
Definitely.
Like, the minute that you go down another block, some shit happens, and or someone's looking for you, and they know you to take a certain path. I think creating good habits, making sure that you make things as black and white as possible, because in the world of where there is some gray.
So much gray. Yeah. There needs to be some black and white in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the most important thing. But on that note, my name's Aziz.
I'm Jerri.
And this is Accountable Love.
Peace.